All right, welcome to another video from the chart readers. So, as I mentioned, there were not going to be videos at the end of last week. I needed to give my wife just a little extra attention, but nonetheless, we are back. So, I am confident to say that I left you with enough information to really anticipate this bounce, even though there weren't videos on Thursday and Friday. So, I will at least review the last couple days and then we will start to look forward as we normally do. So, if you've been here before, this should look familiar. This is our top view with our moving averages, and then our two bottom indicators that I will hide for now and we will get to later. So what's happened the last few days, right? We talked about this 10-8 line being just an incredibly hard support line. So obviously we had this nasty fall. It did catch us. There was a little bit of a fight here, but really 1, 2, 3, 5 days in a row of green, and then really we'll talk about this newest one from today shortly, right? But let's talk about what happened. So there was a nice gap up that really matched this. What date was this? On the 15th. So on the 21st, we saw a nice match here. The day after, again, wasn't a monster day. However, it really came on, what was this, the 23rd. So the 23rd, we actually beat this line right here, this 11.1 line. And we actually got to that 11.2, right? So we talked about this 11.2 and this 11.3 being really important numbers. And really, you can see this first day pretty much started right at our 11.3 number. And one of the things we talked about was if we could break 11.3, we might have a chance to fill this whole gap, right? And look where we're sitting. We're, basically $200 away from closing this, maybe even fighting all the way up here, right? But again, we'll get to those guesses shortly, right? But look at this. We started to hit the 8 moving average. We actually surpassed the 8, got a little bit of follow through, and actually another day of follow through, right? So we've now been over the 8 for a solid 3 days. Next up is this 20 that we're sitting on right now, right? And if you remember from, what was it, maybe last Wednesday's video, I mentioned 11.5 being a relatively big number, right? I think we saw that on the weeklies, which we'll get into. But again, right now we're fighting with this 20. I just kind of want to go back towards this end of May, early June, right? So we saw this once before where we got over the 8, we started playing over the 20, and then really just lost both monsterly, right? So we'll see how this 50 plays in. We never really came too close to the 50 back in the May-June frame. We're obviously a lot closer to this 50, but doing the same thing, right? Battling the 8 and the 20. Let's see where this 50 comes into play, because it really might in this next few days, if not next week or two. So, but where are we today, right? So we do have a red candle. However, I'm still seeing a relative positive sign, right? We've got this nice trend going up. We've pretty much taken this 8, and we're now battling with the 20. Hopefully, we can take the 20 and kind of start coming up to these numbers here, right? What is that? 11.8, 11.9. Really, just in general, what is even this 200? 11.955. If you're looking all the way to the left, you'll see the average 50 is 11.955. So I think there's a decent chance we might come to this 1200. And again, if we come to 12, we might complete the full channel kind of dance that we've been talking about, right? Again, the channel being this low line and this upper line here. So kind of playing a little ping pong. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can break up out of this or we do the down break, right? So let's see what the lower indicators look like. That's not bad at all. So you can see the MACD looks like it has the green over the red. That's always a good thing. And it actually looks like we still have a solid upslope going. So I do wish the red was kind of going more downward. You can kind of see that the red is curling up and trying to catch it, right? But nonetheless, the green is going up and it seems like it wants to continue going up. That is solid. The RSI is not quite doing the same, right? So it looks like, again, you can see the red is trying to catch it. The green has a little bit more of a lower slant than ideal. You always want them to kind of be doing the same thing, right? Hopefully they're both doing that same upward slope. Maybe we'll see a little choppiness around this 20 moving average just because, these aren't quite saying the same thing. And each moving average is hard to beat, right? So you would love to get both of them doing the same upward momentum. So happy both have the green over the red, don't get me wrong. However, it would be ideal if both had this upward slope versus this kind of downward on the RSI. Let's quickly look at the weekly just to, again, see what we're looking at, because these are all short term. Short term, we're happy going up, but long term is what matters. So look at this. We can see how big this 200 moving average line was, right? So the 200 line combined with our 10-8 really helped bounce us up. And look, we are now kind of playing with beating the 8 moving average on a weekly. So that could be very promising. Again, if we can get over the 8 on the weekly, maybe that means we have another week or two of positive upward, right? So again, the better the long-term indicators look, the better the short-term ones will look, right? And then I don't know if we're going to see much movement on the monthly, but let's just look. Again, we're going to finish this month in the next couple days, right? So let's see where the next month opens. But yeah, we're still kind of seeing long-term nothing spectacular, unless really this 50 was our savior. And we could see the 50 kind of saved us back in, when was this? Basically March of 2020. Again, we talked about that COVID period, right? So this 50 has saved us once back in the day from a very hard fall. Can it do it again 2 years after, essentially, right? Back in late or middle 2022? Let's see. We'll actually find that together, right? So weekly, I'm really happy to see that we're kind of battling for this 8 again. And then on the daily, it's very cool to see that we're actually around the 20 and hovering over the 8 for a number of days. So overall, I still just want to stress, look, don't forget where we are. Let me zoom out just a little bit here, and then I'm going to make some lines. So let's look at this. I think this is a good view. So I'm going to make a few different lines. Short term, we do have this really nice upward trend, right? You can see that going up, and hey, the trend is your friend, right? So that does seem nice. From there, I do think that there's a couple things to note. The main trend is still this. I mean, it wasn't a great line, right? But imagine that was straight. We still need to kind of break up here before the overall trend is good, right? It seems like we've broken out of this hard one, and then we're now kind of tracking into one of these. So I'm going to start that over one more time. Again, that was a long term. We had this really steep one. It broke nicely right here. Then it kind of came back, and you can kind of see how it lines up well, right? You see how these lines work. What I see right now is essentially this. We have this line going, and it almost looks like we're on it, right, on the daily. So there's a good chance that if we can break this, if we can get into that 11.7 number, hey, there's a decent chance we're going to go to this 12.2. Otherwise, we might kind of stay in this trend one more time and go a little bit down. Again, I don't really know, right? There was a little bit of a mixed signal with the indicators. Personally, I think we're going to dance around this 20, just kind of like we did here, right? This horizontal line over the next few days. I can really see that happening. And then this point right here is we'll decide. So maybe around the 5th of July is when it could happen. Again, these are just kind of my guesses, right? But nonetheless, expect a little bit of choppiness. But as long as we can keep this short-term trend going, hey, we might ride it a little bit and get some nice days. So yeah, that's been the NASDAQ. Let's see what the rest look like. Let's move over to the S&P 500. SP5. Again, really the same story, right? So here we have a little bit bigger of a channel. We actually have this channel broken, and now we're really fighting into this channel. Again, filling these gaps like we saw with the NASDAQ. And look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty much staying consistent with the NASDAQ. And again, I've mentioned it on my emails more than on the videos, but it's always good when the major markets are doing the same thing. You want that consistency, right? So it's great to see the daily looking the same for the S&P 500. Let's quickly go to the DJ30, the Dow Jones Industrial. Again, it's great when you can go across the charts and really see that all the majors have the same indicators going. So let's show what the bottom looks like. Oh, the MACD looks actually very strong on the daily for the, but again, it doesn't quite look like the RSI wants to. But I like that it's kind of tipping over and doing a nice little upward slope. Again, I still think we're going to fight with this 20, just like the NASDAQ was, right? And what does the weekly look like just to see? Okay, not quite above the 8 here. And then where's the SP? Are you over the 8? Okay, in line with the Dow Jones. So again, these two were just under the 8, and it looked like, if I remember correctly, on the weekly, correct. We're actually pretty much on the line. We are under it, but we're a lot closer on the 8 moving average for the NASDAQ. So a lot of information today. Again, I missed a couple videos, so I did want to try to cram in a little bit more. But overall, let's just recap. I do think we're going to dance a little bit with this 20 moving average. I think a couple more just choppy days. If we can get a nice momentum going, I don't see why we wouldn't go back at least closer to this 12.2 now that we've gotten to this 11.5 number, right? So I'm not going to add any more lines. I do like the 2 that I have, and then we'll just kind of follow the dance with the moving averages. And really, I think I would say the same went for the DJ30 and for the SP500, right? Fighting with this 20, trying to see where we land in this next channel, and then I think the exact same story for the SP5. Fighting for the 20, seeing where we go with this channel. This one's a little tighter, right? But again, once we either break up or break down, we can see a number of days do well. So be safe out there. Again, it looks like there's a good chance to make some money. So yeah, trade safely, and I will be posting daily. That is the continual plan. And then very quickly, oh, let me show this. I'm not doing this often enough. So this is the actual website if you've never been to it. And I do like to stress at the bottom, if you sign up for the emails, I do tend to put a little extra info on the emails because after this video, I think of something and I go into a little more detail with a few sentences. So sign up. It's completely free. All you have to do is put your email and click I am not a robot. We do not ask for your name, address, credit card, social, or anything other than an email and proof that you are not a robot. I do hope you are learning, and I hope you are getting better, and you continue to get better by watching these videos. Have a great one.